And wired headphones are so back.
Wired headphones are having a comeback.
Wired headphones. Gen Z trendsetters are making the old technology the must-have accessory this fall.
Athletes, musicians, actors, among the A-listers who've been spotted in them.
Then came 2016. That was the year Apple ceremoniously removed the headphone jack from the iPhone 7 and called it Courage, which remains one of the greatest rebranding exercises in corporate history. We removed a universally useful feature and will now sell it to you as an adapter separately.
But social media influencers, they're rocking the wires.
Wired headphones are making a comeback, not in a nostalgic or hipster aesthetic way, but an actual comeback. After years of declining sales, wired headphones are suddenly seeing a rise in interest in 2025, and Gen Z, the generation born in the age of AirPods and wireless headphones, are voluntarily plugging wires back into their phones, even if it is with a dongle. Now this is really interesting to see because for the last decade, the tech industry has been treating wires as something belonging to the Neanderthals. Every event, every ad, and every tech YouTuber kept repeating the same. The future is wireless, and we believe them, at least most of us who weren't audiophiles. But this video is not about high-end audio, sound quality, or nostalgia, because the return of wired headphones reveals something much deeper about the tech industry, and it's not only limited to just headphones either. If you still think the headphone jack died because technology moved forward, it didn't. And once you see what actually happened, you're gonna want your port back. On September 7, 2016, Apple removed the headphone port. They announced the iPhone 7 and revealed that it would no longer come with the headphone port. Now remember, this was 2016. The headphone port was universal. Every phone had it, everyone used it. Cheap headphones worked. Studio headphones worked. Random earbuds you got free on a flight worked. Bluetooth was still improving. Sound quality wasn't even close to wired ones. Battery life sucked. Connectivity was inconsistent, but on that Apple keynote, the tech industry's version of the Super Bowl in front of 1,000 people cheering like they're witnessing the cure for cancer, Apple just boiled everything down to a single word: courage. Courage. The iPhone 7 wasn't dramatically thinner. The Moto Z4 was similar in thickness and it had a headphone port. They didn't need to remove it to save space. And here's the funny part. A YouTuber literally added the headphone port back into the iPhone 7 all by himself in his workshop.
Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave with a box of scraps.
So, $1 trillion company with thousands of engineers and enough resources to build a spaceship wanted to keep the jack, it would have stayed. But the jack wasn't profitable anymore and it had to go because Apple had other plans. So they made their decision sound like they were making this bold, innovative move towards the future. I mean, you're removing a feature that millions of people used every day, not storming Normandy Beach. The same event, they also announced the new AirPods, pretty conveniently. Apple spent $3 billion to buy Beats the previous year, a company that was at the time dominating the wireless headphones market. Their plan from the beginning was simple: buy a headphone company, remove headphone port, sell the new AirPods, which ended up creating one of the biggest accessories businesses on earth. They invented a problem and sold us the solution, and we cherished them for that with our money. But here's the part that we don't fully understand. We think the headphone port removal was one bad decision, or a good one depending on how you look at it. It wasn't. It was a tutorial and the industry was taking notes. Take a look at this. The headphone port disappears, wireless earbuds appear, chargers disappear from the box. Suddenly, everyone has to buy it separately. The SD card slot disappears. Now we're paying insane money for storage upgrades. Removable batteries disappear. We're paying for something that used to be user replaceable. Ports from laptops disappear. The dongle industry is born overnight. Every single time something cheaper for them to include disappears, something profitable for us to buy replaces replaces it. This is not accidental. Every company at first mocked Apple for removing the headphone port. Samsung made ads making fun of them. Google made sure they mentioned their latest Pixel included the headphone port. The entire industry thought Apple was stupid. And 2 years later, everyone followed it like the mannequin challenge because Apple's bluff had worked. Suddenly, the industry realized that they can remove features from their products and market it as progress. Apple wasn't making a tech decision, they were making a revenue decision, and that became the business model. By 2024, less than 10% of phones were left with the headphone port. In 2016, it was all of them. Our preference was successfully sidelined by forced conditioning. The iPhone 7 still sold in millions, and the AirPods even better. To be fair, AirPods were convenient, which is why the transition worked, an expensive one too, but people still bought it anyway, because when you're unboxing a brand new pair of AirPods, you don't see the problems that wireless earbuds come with. Tiny batteries glued shut, nearly impossible to repair. As soon as the battery health starts dropping, they slowly start turning into e-waste. Meanwhile, the wired headphone sitting in your drawer from 10 years ago still works. Now, I don't mean to say that wired earphones never die. They do, especially the cheap ones, but they don't cost an insane amount of money, and if it dies, just buy another pair and move on. But wireless headphones don't come cheap. You lose one, but you have to buy a whole new pair, which is why companies love them. Not because wires are bad, but dead batteries create repeated customers, almost like a subscription model that generates recurring revenue, disguised as a hardware failure. The sales of wired headphones were declining year by year, and it seemed like everyone was slowly moving on from their once beloved port. But then suddenly, wired headphone sales started increasing, and the people mostly responsible for this resurgence was the generation born into AirPods and wireless headphones. It's 2026 and people are bringing back wired headphones. It's trending all over the internet. Celebrities are spotted wearing them. Gen Z is embracing them. Their sales are up after years of decline, which is interesting because in the tech world, this rarely happens. Once a technology is replaced by another, people never usually go back to the old one. Gen Z is a generation who barely even remembers the headphone port, so this is something much deeper than just nostalgia for them. They weren't promised a wireless future because they grew up in that future. They looked at it purely with practicality and realized that we somehow have accepted a version of headphones that can literally refuse to function when they're tired. They need constant charging, random connectivity issues arise, battery anxiety is persistent, the audio isn't that great. They need firmware updates to continue functioning. With wired headphones, you just plug them in and it works. Better audio, no charging, no batteries, no updates, no apps, which is insane if you say it out loud. Because for just the convenience of them being wireless, we are putting up with much worse things with wireless headphones. And this is not just limited to headphones. This is a pattern across the entire tech industry right now. People are going back to older things. iPods, film cameras, vinyl records, things that are simple, things that don't distract, things that do their work and shut up. Now, I've made an entire video about this if you'd like to dive deeper into this subject, but the point is that people, especially younger ones, are becoming tired of everything smart, always being connected, collecting our data, stealing our attention, subscriptions, ecosystems. Wired headphones feel refreshing because they do none of this, and this is why they are suddenly everywhere. Trains, cafes, campuses, the wire accidentally became symbolic, representing a pushback against what has become the norm, a rebellion for getting back to the simpler times, which is quite ironic because just 10 years ago, that simplicity was the norm. But yearning for simpler times is one thing and actually getting it back is another. And when an industry moves on from something, they never go back. The headphone port is never coming back, at least not in a mainstream level. Now, I'd love to be proven wrong, but the industry already won. Wireless audio has become too profitable, and once something proves that it can generate recurring revenue for a company in the long run, good luck reversing that. The wireless audio industry has become a multi-billion-dollar industry, with AirPods alone generating more than $22 billion annually. Entire ecosystems are now built to keep you wireless. So yes, wired headphones are making a comeback culturally, but commercially, the industry has already moved on to the next removal possibly. Because the real lesson here is companies don't need you to like the newest thing, they just need to remove the old one long enough. Everyone used wired headphones in 2016, but it didn't matter because preference doesn't matter when the alternative doesn't exist anymore. And once consumers adapt, companies win permanently, make the inconvenience bearable enough, and people eventually stop resisting. And then 5 years later, they act like it was inevitable. They called it courage, we saw it as progress. Enjoy your 1000 rupees earphones. The next time you charge your phone, remember, the USB-C port you're using to plug in might not make it a couple years down the lane, and you'd be forced to buy an expensive wireless charger that needs to be connected to your Wi-Fi or something. If this video made sense to you, then drop a like, subscribe for more videos like this, and I'll see you in the next one.